All right, guys. We're gonna start off here. Obviously, you know who it is. Willsoutlook. We're gonna start off actually right now, currently with some bigger time frames, and then we'll work our way down to like more of a macro perspective, smaller macro perspective. I'm gonna show you guys kind of how I do my top-down approach in today's video, in addition to giving you a current market update. So typically, just so you guys know, I run this thing down into finding out where the market is and where the market's going. If we put on a 6-month macro for Bitcoin, looks pretty good, right? We kind of hit the same top a couple times. We are looking to potentially break out. We'll see how that works out at the end of the day. But from a 6-month perspective, we've been doing very, very well for Bitcoin. On a bigger macro perspective, if we were to look at a bigger scenario on a 6-month perspective, that's Bitcoin, I guess, all in all in its lifespan, guys. So that's really good growth, right? We have a little bit of slowdown here, a little bit of slowdown there, but like overall, 6 months, we're looking extremely good for Bitcoin as a whole. And that's Bitcoin's whole life since 2011. So obviously it's been around longer than that, but we're just covering it in that fashion. So if I were to move it into a more macro perspective, guys, I'm looking at like, okay, what is going on right now? Where does the market look right now? How are things being distributed in the market right now? So on and so forth. I would say that this view right here is probably the best one. We're going to use a Bitcoin to tether against Binance, right? And that's going to be kind of our coverage. Now we're going to look at it now from a month perspective, right? So 1 month perspective, this is currently what Bitcoin looks like, guys. Again, we're talking about this view against the BLX. So we're actually going to run the BLX down here just so it's closer. And you can see right here from the same market viewpoint, we're kind of in a similar push / scenario that we've been in before, right? So we can kind of see we're drooping a little bit currently on Bitcoin, and we've been drooping for like the past couple months here. But I am very optimistic about the current market. So if we look at the market as a whole, typically once we start hitting these red spots, sometimes we kind of slow down, but there are other scenarios where we kind of pulled back and then took off, right? So it's kind of a mixed scenario there with the monthly, looking at it from a monthly perspective on the BLX. But looking at it from a monthly on here, it's not looking too bad, right? We kind of double top, but again, we're also looking at what? We're looking at a low here, and we are also looking at a high low here, regardless of current position, right? And then in addition to that, we're also looking at again, higher high, right? That's our high right there. And then we've got our low high currently sitting right over here, guys. So that's our low high, right? So since we're still making what we would call bullish momentum in the current market, we are still looking, in my opinion, to uptrend, right? And really, we could call this an Elliott impulse 3-point wave, right? We could say, I wouldn't say it's really an Elliott impulse, because impulse, obviously, 3 has to be bigger than 1, and so on and so forth. But I think we are moving in a 3-wave movement, right? So if we're looking at a 3-wave movement, we got 1 wave here, we got 1 wave here, and then we should be looking at least another wave here, which I think could bring us to at least 80K, maybe 90, maybe 100. We'll see where it goes at the end of the day. Nobody really knows. They can say they do, but they really don't. From other perspectives, there are ways to speculate pricing for a top. You can speculate it and look at what that could look like, but we'll do that moving forward. So overall market from a current perspective. And if we're looking at this from a monthly perspective also, and I were to run a Fibonacci on here, I would say this is the most local low, because we don't know where this low is yet, because it hasn't finished yet until the market runs back up. And then I would say that's the most local high, right? So if this is the most local low and this is the most local high, then in this scenario, what are we looking at here? Well, it looks like we topped out, around, we won't say 70K, but we topped out right there around 68,952, I believe, from what it shows on here, right? Different exchanges, obviously different prices. So since this is where we topped out at, institutional discount zones, right? So what do those look like? So if we flip this thing around, and we go and we hit the reverse button here, we say okay, we can see what we hit our 618, and in reality we can even come all the way down to the 786, which would be considered our institutional discount of 37,798. What does that mean to me? That means until we actually break 37,798, that on a monthly timestamp, the market's still bullish, guys. Like, it's just what it is. This is the institutional discount zone. We actually dipped into the institutional discount zone, and then we're still kind of a ways from the bottom of the institutional discount zone. So in reality, they could even run this thing down. As long as they hold support here, we could still see a big boom. Just from a larger perspective, right? We want to show you what the larger perspectives look like. Now, if we break that down into a weekly, and we go, okay, what does that look like from a weekly standpoint? Well, this is the weekly standpoint, guys. This is still looking very good for Bitcoin and the overall market. All right, guys, quick intermission. If you could like, subscribe, comment, stay up with the latest information by hitting the notification bell, and share this with your friends and family, that would be greatly appreciated. Thanks. So this is looking really good, guys, and this is kind of, you know, the approach that I want to take here. So if we look at this from a macro standpoint, from a weekly standpoint, right? If we look here, look what happened, guys. We pulled back to our institutional discount range. We then came up and found, and look, keep in mind, I took here to here, right? This isn't magic, guys, but it feels like it. But basically, what this is telling me, and if we look at it from this perspective of the current push into the current top, we landed perfectly right here, guys. Like, look at that. Like, fibs don't lie, man. Like, if you're ever looking for a perfect position, Fibonacci's is where it's at. Learn it, understand it. Great tool for the space. So Fibonacci right here, boom, ran up, came back, ran up, came back, found support perfectly right here. And I am expecting a push from here. Does that mean it necessarily has to happen? Not really. I can tell you this: we got our 3 push down. We got same thing here. 1, yes, a little bit of push up, 2, 3, and then we had our push up, right? So 3 push down and 2 a push up, I think, is the way what we're kind of looking at in the current weekly standpoint, right? So again, we have the same thing as our monthly. We have our high low here, same spot, guys. Low low here, high high, low high. So that's the overall perspective there. So moving on to our next standpoint, the daily. So this is our daily, guys. This is currently what our daily looks like overall. Currently down to the daily, we landed perfectly, came up, ran just under the 618 fib, right? Ran almost back into our institutional discount zone. Of course, they're going to protect liquidity though each time, right? So where's that liquidity? Boom. Where's that liquidity? Boom. Protection, 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 right? What is this trend? That's called an uptrend, guys. That's what we're looking at for the market right now. So the market is not in a downtrend. Even if we came down and we found support here, guys, and double bottom and sat here and ran this, that's still considered a double bottom, right? Double bottom is still bullish until it's not. So keep that in mind also if we end up falling down further, which is always a possibility. Currently, they could be overextending to push up and start to run out of momentum a little bit. We'll see actually looking at the RSI here in just a few minutes. But this is kind of what I'm looking at from the daily standpoint. We did, again, find support on the 0.5 on a bigger time scale, right? So found support on the 0.5 on a bigger time span. So that's still kind of bullish to me. That looks really good on a daily. And we actually closed right above the 0.5, guys. So the 0.5 is a very important position to be in for the market because it's very good support. So I could see them pulling this back down, just FYI, to this 49K zone with this current daily candle. And then I think they'll take off from there. That's my own perspective, obviously my own outlook for the current market. Outside of that, like, this is what I'm looking at, guys, as far as a bullish side of crypto. I think crypto's very bullish. I mean, especially with the economics right now that are going on, and, you know, the inflation and all that good stuff, and job wages kind of stagnating, not really improving, which they should be improving with inflation. But I mean, pricing and everything else keeps going up, but our jobs aren't paying us more money, which makes no sense at all. So with that being said, I mean, I think people are going to stay in assets for a while, man. Looking really good for the market. I do expect we have our typical correction that we have every cycle, but I think Bitcoin's just, it's still early stages, guys. Very, very early stages when it comes to Bitcoin overall. Okay, not trying to rant. We'll keep going with the market. So this is the daily right here. So again, even if we pull back and double bottom, not a big deal. We'll push off, I think. Currently, I think they'll hold position here and they'll kind of take off from here. So again, we'll run back to the monthly real quick. Just look at the RSI. Here's the RSI. Boom, we hit a top and then boom, cool down. And I think that we're going to take off again on a monthly standpoint. On the 6-month standpoint, doesn't even show up because we don't have enough data. If we look at it from the daily standpoint, we have our high, right? And then we just had this bearish divergence that kind of follows through. The market then flips back up and finds support where, guys? Where? On the 50, right? 50 is a very important support range for all assets. Then we run up and we, again, on the weekly, fall through the 50, but we're kind of coming up right now and testing that 50 on the RSI. If we can break through this 50, guys, we're gone. We're gone. Watch. If we stay under the 50, we could see more downside. We could potentially come all the way down and meet our relative strength from all the way back here, which I believe was in July. So if we come back and we reach our strength back in July, then we'll be looking at basically the market moving up from that position. So MFI, let's look at it from an MFI standpoint. MFI looks very similar, right? MFI is looking to come up and break the 50. We may end up with a higher low. Again, this is what happens in a three-way movement, right? We get the biggest push in the beginning move right here. That's our biggest push. And then we get the next push to top out there. And then the market kind of recovers. And I think we're going to get one more right here in the current wave. So again, my perspective from all these standpoints, if we look at it from the daily and we go over to it from the daily and we look at the RSI, look at where we're at on the RSI, guys. Basically the bottom of the market. We are in a current W-shaped pattern on the RSI, which is very bullish typically. So we'll see if we can break out of that to the upside. And if we can, then that will be really good for Bitcoin. If not, we're going to come back down and meet these bottom zones right around here on 40, 43K. I think 44.5 is kind of like the bottom, but like we'll see. We could meet a little bit deeper and come down and kind of recapture this wick. But I think we'll stay higher than we were over here previously back in September. So with all that being said, I do think we come down at the end of the month, but we'll see maybe January, and then we come back up and we try and do that blow off top scenario. So that's a daily standpoint. Now we kind of break this down to the 4 hour, guys, and we look at the 4 hour, right? This is the current 4 hour, and where is the 50, guys? Right? Running straight through the middle there. So again, we took that from the top and the bottom. If we come through and we run an RSI here, right? And we were to go off this RSI. Is this 50 any different than this 50? Barely, guys. This is why Fibonacci is so amazing. It's based off of certain price ranges, and it typically always lines up with other price ranges. That's the great thing about it. All right, so with that being said, I do expect us to stay on this side of the range. But if you look here on the daily perspective, we're basically moving into a pennant, guys. And there's the breakout, right? If we can get that to happen, then that would be great. But I think that that's kind of what we're moving into, is that pennant movement. With that pennant movement, I think we will see Bitcoin kind of take off from there. So this is on the 4 hour standpoint, guys. Again, if you're looking for time spans, you can always look at my background right there. It typically shows the timestamp. If we look at this from an hourly standpoint, guys, look at this. Boom. Where are we finding support on the hourly? Right here on this spike, right? So I am expecting, even if Bitcoin breaks down, for us to take off. But even if it doesn't, I think we'll still take off. So positive market outlook. We got lots of things going on in the news, lots of things going on charts. And we'll get into that in the next part in just a second. All right, guys. Moving into the macro trend of the current market. We're moving into Glassnodes, right? Glassnodes is a great tool to utilize and kind of see where the market is and what people are thinking and what people's sentiment are. Right now, the long-term holder Nupal is showing right now still bullish momentum. We're currently still in that belief in the now stage currently with the market. I will say I think that we come back up and we try and retest that euphoria greed stage. I'm not sure we'll make it in this next run-up. Like I said, 80, maybe 100K. We'll see if we can get to 100K. I think if we hit 80, we'll probably come up with double top up here. As far as hitting this top and not get into your fork zone, and then we'll kind of take our lead from there. But I will say this: we are moving down, right, and we're basically at a double bottom position from where we were in September when it comes to the zone. So what that could mean for us, that could mean is the more and more we keep moving as a market, if the market continues to trend up with the current Nupal, it means that holders are just not selling. If holders are not selling, what happens? The floor gets higher and higher and higher, right? It is showing right now that it is getting increasingly tougher and tougher for whales and institutions to really kind of come in and manipulate this pricing at this point, at the current market price point. Does that mean that the market will not end like it normally does? I don't think it does. I think that we will see our typical bull cycle end, as we always do, and that's just due to liquidity, right? We have low liquidity in crypto, but that's why crypto is amazing and crypto is great, and crypto will make you a lot of money, because the liquidity in here is so low. Buying in these bear runs can really hedge you some good upside, guys, for investing. So keep that in mind when you're looking at crypto as an asset. I think it's a long-term hold. It's an amazing asset. Okay, so that is the macro trend of the current Glassnodes. And again, if we continue to trend up and trend down lower more and more as time goes on, that means we're reaching a local low, or even a low that's a lot further out, so to where we're not really going to drop that much anymore. So keep that in mind too when looking at the market. Crypto as a whole is looking very well and very good. Now we're going to move it to the next part of the macro trend in the next part of the video. All right, next part of the video, we're looking at the current market trends, cryptometer.io trend indicator. And basically this is indicating that we are kind of on the bearish side, but again, keep in mind the buying and selling pressure are pretty even, guys. What this is probably telling me is that we're probably hitting a good resistance. We'll probably pull back a little bit, and then we'll maybe trend a little bit more sideways. But I think Monday we're going to be very surprised with the results of what happens this week with the market. I am feeling very bullish with the current market trend, but that doesn't mean we can't go down before we go up. Next part of the video in just a second. Okay, guys, now we're looking at longs and shorts, right? Longs and shorts. So biggest time frame I can get on here is 24 hours. As you can see right here, we're looking at 50.42 on bullish side, right? People longing Bitcoin. If people are longing, then that's basically indicating to me that the market is very bullish on itself in the current macro trend. So with that being said, I think that we are looking to go up, and we can see the same sentiment on almost every single exchange here, guys. There's only a few exchanges that are currently shorting more than they're longing, but the overall statistic is showing very positive indications for Bitcoin. Market's kind of in that middle point, still kind of undecided, but I think we go up, but we could go down before we go up, but I think we go up ultimately into that higher high zone. Next part right here, this is the BitMEX calculator, and this right here is basically the same thing. So this is basically indicating current longs and shorts. And again, guys, we talked about this before, right? 96.22 on the longs, 49.75, 59.14, and 69.03. As we can see, this is actually improved from the last video we made, and it looks like people are longing more on Bitcoin. In addition to that, Ethereum has also improved on all metrics here. The only one that's really kind of still bearish on Ethereum right now is Bitfinex. All right, on the next part, we're going to the fear and greed meter for the market in the next video. All right, guys, next part of the video, we're doing fear and greed index. Fear and greed index, as we can see, day by day has been improving, guys. We're looking very well for the fear and greed index. Right now, we're still in the fear zone, so a lot of people scared to re-enter the market. Just use the best buying opportunities are in the fear zone. They are not in the greed zone. The greed zone is when you start taking money. Not financial advice, but just FYI. Currently, you can see this is only 30 minutes old as far as the current meter, so we are looking very good. Crypto fear and greed index over time, we can see we're kind of leveling out here on the index, which is very good indication. Again, right here, extreme fear is a good buying opportunity. Extreme greed is a good correction. They like to say correction, right? Good time to take profit, I would say. Again, not financial advice, but that's just my own verbiage against theirs. All right, in the next part of the video, we'll look at the current Bitcoin price and volume. All right, price and volume, guys. Let's check out the price and volume currently with the market. We're gonna actually refresh this real quick just to make sure we have the latest data. We're gonna hit the 2-year mark. We can see right here, Bitcoin was very stagnant over here for a while. We had the big boom, and then we're currently getting bigger booms now. You can see right here, we're actually picking up in volume currently with the current market, which is telling me and indicating me with these higher highs on volume that we're actually looking to trend up. So again, all this is confirmation on basically the same thing I've been telling you. So keep this in mind when keeping your eyes on the market, and always watch pricing. Again, we can't always come down before we go up. But I think in the current range that we're in, it's a great opportunity to DCA if you're into that, which DCA stands for dollar cost averaging, which means that if I have a certain amount of money, $1,000, I maybe indicate $100 per position for dollar cost averaging. So I go in with $100 on a certain point, price falls back, I go in another 100, price falls back a little more, I go in another 100, and I start setting myself into a position that can allow me to get a very good medium position. So when the market does trend up, I'm in a really good spot to actually start taking profit on the way up, and then waiting for that next dip to buy back in. Again, not financial advice, just ideas. Moving on to the next part of the video in just a second. All right, we're just going to take a look at the stock to flow model. Again, we're still kind of trending down. We're actually kind of finding support in the same zones we found over here, right, guys? Right at the previous top. So with that being said, I would say we're looking at a good position potentially for the market to either trend back down a bit and or to kind of pick up from here. I'm not sure like really how to take the stock to flow in its current position, but I can tell you like over here when we trended up, we were right about here before we really took off, and we could see that next push relatively soon. So keep this in mind too. Stock to flow has been a little off this year, but you know, we'll see if things end up working out by the end of the year. We'll kind of check it out. Again, this is all based off a mathematical formula that has worked historically well for against Bitcoin, but again, they work until they don't. All right. Well, with that being said, I would say that's the full coverage of the market. I hope this gives you guys a good insight as far as, again, bullish on the market. We can come down to that 40K zone, potentially in short term if we do, but I think ultimately we stay where we're at, kind of zone range, kind of where we're at currently, and then we kind of take off from there. So long story short, hope that helps out a lot of people. Have a great one. Please like, subscribe, show your friends. That would be awesome. And I'll see you guys in the next video.